The Raptors win the title. They do it in front of their hometown fans. Kawhi Leonard is crowned the best player in the game for all his clutch buckets. This would have been an amazing story, and it all might come true, just not in Game 5. Game 5 was about toughness, dedication, execution. It was about believing in yourself and your teammates. And in the last 5 minutes of this game, it was the Warriors who laid it all on the line and proved they still have the heart of a champion. As we moved into crunch time, we were treated to a crazy sequence to kick things off. The Raptors continually destroyed DeMarcus Cousins in the pick and roll all night, and this was a cool adjustment as they forced the switch on the first ball screen, then run Boogie into the same screen as Ibaka steps up in the lane. But it brought the long arms of Iguodala into the play, and he strips the ball right out of Kawhi's hands. The Raptors do a good job to sprint back to keep it a 3-on-3, but Lowry wasn't close enough to Klay spotting up on the right wing. We're so used to Klay hitting these that it was actually a surprise to see this miss, and it was an air ball. What? Great save by Draymond, and Cousins ripped it out of there. All sorts of contact by Ibaka isn't called, and now Kawhi is off to the races. But it gets funky right quick. I'll have Ronnie Nunn on the show soon to go over a ton of head-scratching calls, including this one. But the bottom line, it just didn't look right. There might be a way to interpret the travel rule that keeps this legal, but I doubt anyone would have argued had the whistle blown. It's still no excuse for the defense to give up and allow the Powell dunk, and it's a 2-point game. I did a whole video on how the Raptors defense has been holding the Warriors offense completely in check, and a big reason is being able to ignore Iguodala and his inability to put a round object into another round object twice its size. They lure him into this shot by helping on Klay one pass away, and this isn't much of a contest by Kawhi, but it bricks anyway. To make matters worse, Iggy is a step too low, picking up Kawhi in transition. Even Draymond's flyby contest doesn't do anything to a guy who's been the best player on the floor all series long, and the Raptors had their first lead since the middle of the first quarter. Rattled, the Warriors come down and run a quick Curry-Draymond pick and roll. Because it's so high, Van Vliet correctly goes underneath it here. Switching this means Kawhi and his incredible length can bother Curry, who opts for the hella difficult step-back three. One reason I'm willing to anoint Kawhi the best player in the league is not just because he can score from everywhere on the court and is an excellent defender, it's also because he gets away with so many travels, a status only reserved for the absolute best of the best. He waves away the Lowry screen and just straight line attacks Iguodala. He gathers the ball, then takes a right step, a left step, then drags the right foot behind him before leaping and banking it in. Again, stay tuned for Ronnie's appearance to go over this, but I'm saying travel. In desperate need of a bucket and with only one timeout left, Steve Kerr has to let his team fend for themselves, and they get a Klay curl into the lane off the Boogie pin down. In order to limit the disadvantage of Draymond's lack of shooting, despite his 2 for 4 from the three-point line, they put him in a dunker spot. Klay has his choice of hitting Cousins rolling or Draymond waiting. Green opts for the power move, getting his chicken wing out in a very provocative move that could easily have been called a foul, before awkwardly flipping up the lefty hook into the basket. Up one, they go to a familiar action, clearing out the left side for Kawhi and letting him run a two-man game with Gasol. Iguodala initially shows ice defense, forcing Kawhi away from the screen, but then lets Kawhi use it to the middle. However, it took them so long to get into this formation, the shot clock is another defender. But no matter. Kawhi continues to prove to me that he's the best player in the NBA. Don't at me. The Warriors run pistol action by handing off to Curry, then setting a ball screen for him. Powell does a good job staying attached, and the Raptors have continually doubled Curry to get it out of his hands. Kawhi and Lowry move on a string as Leonard steps up to stop the roll, and Lowry sits on Draymond to prevent the pass for a layup, but also serves to invite the one pass they're grateful for, a spot up for Iguodala, who does well to create a good shot, but he simply can't make anything outside of 2 feet in this series. Now, this possession was interesting. The Warriors had been running a second defender at Kawhi during the finals to stop him from shooting out of isolation out top. But with shooters all around, they're a little reluctant to do that, so Kawhi simply bulls his way to the lane line, and notice his use of the right-left 1-2 despite going to his right. It's a great way to get the shooting hip aligned to the basket and avoid excess drifting when you get in the air, and he gives his team a rather fat 5-point lead. At this point, it felt like the Warriors were ready to implode. I like this action to have Curry ball screen into a flare screen by Cousins. It gets him a great look, but he got happy feet and doesn't transfer energy smoothly, leaving it short. Now here's where things began to get screwy from a coach's standpoint. The NBA has a rule that says you can only call 2 timeouts in the last 3 minutes. With 4 left, Nick Nurse later explained he just wanted to take 2 of them or else he'd lose them.
Yeah, well, we had 2 free ones that you lose under the 3-minute mark. And we just came across and just decided to give those guys a rest. And we had back-to-back ones there that we would have lost under the 3-minute mark and just thought we could use the extra energy push.
But this explanation simply doesn't make a lot of sense. His team was on a 12-2 run, had all the momentum, had the ball, was on the verge of winning the first ever NBA title in Canada, and yet he allows the very short-handed Warriors a chance to regroup and get some needed rest with 2 consecutive timeouts. They ultimately get the ball to Kawhi out top, who smartly attacks quickly before the double team can get there. However, it is illegal to dribble, step, jump stop, then pivot. The refs missed this call, I think, but perhaps Kawhi sensed he traveled and he shoots an air ball. One thing the Warriors are excellent at is their out-of-timeout plays, and those timeouts gave Coach Kerr a lot of time to draw this beauty up. They slip the ball screen for Curry, lure the double team, and Draymond continues to set a screen for Klay. Kawhi went under the screen, triggering a ball screen back to the left. Because of the double of Steph, there isn't anyone guarding Draymond, leaving Klay to step into a wide-open three-pointer, and he just drains it. Whenever the Raptors need a score, they turn to this play, the high post split. Lowry enters to Gasol at the elbow, then sets a screen for Kawhi coming out of the corner. Klay does his best to stick to Kawhi, who cuts back door. Draymond didn't need to jump down and switch this, and he tells Klay to stay with Lowry. This was a big miscommunication, but they dodge a serious bullet. I mean, this could have been the nail in the coffin. Curry comes down and makes a big mistake on this read. As Boogie rolls to the hoop, look how open he is. Instead, he jacks up a 3 with Gasol on his face. It misses. Boogie tips it back in though. But wait a minute. The refs review this and decide part of the ball was still above the cylinder and wave it off. Were they right? Wait for the video with me and Ronnie to discuss. This is where the Raptors began playing not to lose. Notice how stagnant the offense becomes and how long it takes for them to get into it with this high pick and roll. The refs let the grab by Klay go, Boogie helps contain, and they reset. But there's only 6 seconds on the shot clock. Iguodala forces Lowry away from the Gasol screen. With no time left, he can pursue the ball into a double team. Draymond is rotating perfectly too, and Lowry just throws the ball away. Can you hear me shaking my head? You may ask yourself, how am I supposed to hear Coach Nick shake his head? Well, I suppose it's a bit of a personal question, but Lowry might have thrown this ball away because it was slippery or cracked or not as smooth as he would have liked it. And you may have the same problem with your basketballs. But don't worry, there's a solution. The people over at Manscaped know how to help you keep your balls smooth and fresh so that they'll bounce perfectly. Sometimes you might even nick them, and it makes using them painful, but not anymore. They've got an electric trimmer called the Lawnmower 2.0, guaranteed to keep those balls smooth and nick-free, no snagging, no scene from There's Something About Mary. And for God's sake, don't use the same trimmer on your face as you're using for your basketballs. Everybody knows that to dribble properly, you need good, clean, fresh balls in your hand. Right now, save 20% off plus free shipping and a free leather travel bag by using my code BREAKDOWN at manscaped.com. So don't get caught holding your basketballs in your hand without Manscaped. And tell them Coach Nick sent you by using my code BREAKDOWN. Stay tuned shortly for part 2 coming up. You won't want to miss it because we've got the last 90 seconds to go through and a coaching blunder that might go down as one of the worst managed possessions ever. Sports fans, Coach Nick again, and thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then I've got a new online basketball membership where I share with you the best of what NBA teams are doing to help you be more successful on the court. Click the first link in the description or the pinned comment below to learn more. And don't forget to like and subscribe and let me know how you feel about today's video. Check your settings to make sure you get notified each time we drop a new one. After all, at BBallBreakdown, we're not a channel, we're a conversation. You in?